Hey guys, this is Maxi from Maxi's Method Podcast. And now you are listening or watching to an interview with Tommaso Rumici. He's an Italian knife designer. He's only 36 years old, and more than 50 from his designs has been realized over the past 15 years. So have fun. Let's get started. Hello, Tommaso. How are you?
Hi, I'm quite fine, consider the situation we are going through. So it's all good here.
Are you still locked at your home right now? So
I am locked because Italy is reopening, but I don't know if it's too early. So probably I will stay locked for a few more days and wait for the situation to be more clear.
So you are not working at home at all the time. You have a separate office. Where are
Yes,
you
I have an office, but in the last month, probably a bit more, I'm working from home because it's safer.
And you are not allowed to get to walk around in the public, right? It was a real lockdown there.
Yes, it's quite strict. We have some permissions, so if I wanted, maybe I could find a way to work around, but I can do the same things from home. So at the moment, I don't need to go to the office.
Tommaso, can you tell us something about you for some listeners who are not knowing you already?
Okay. So I'm from the 1983, so I am 36 now, and I started working with knife making in 2005. So my first 15 years ago.
Wow.
So my first project was with Viper knives, and it was the Fearless
This is
with
the fixed blade, right?
yes, a fighting knife, and it's one of the two knives I designed that is out of stock at the moment, because all my other designs are still in production or still available at least. But the Fearless, the Viper Fearless, and the Fantoni Hide are out of stock, and probably if you want one, it will be hard to find one.
Yeah, the Fearless was a limited one, wasn't it?
Yes, the Fearless was the first military knife from Viper, so it was something like a test, not exactly a mass production knife. So we did just 300 pieces in three colors. So I think 100 for each color: satin blade, PVD blade, and camo blade.
And with Mikata handles, right?
Yes, it was natural micarta, and probably one of the first times where the natural micarta, the big canvas, was used on a knife.
Yeah. You guys will find the link to your web page where you can read about the story behind the Fearless and a lot of pictures and drawings about it. I will link that in the show notes.
My web page is quite outdated at the moment because I had too many things to do to update the page, but I hope in the future I can. But if you want to be updated about my latest designs, my Instagram page has a lot of pictures and reposts, so probably is the best way to do it at the moment.
It doesn't make this. It doesn't look out of date. So
No, it's out of date because in the last 15 years I designed, I think, around 33 knives, different lines. Uh, and on my web page, you can find, I think, 10. So there are a lot of things that are not in the page.
What kind of knives are you have designed before? You have we know the technical one, the fearless, and on the other hand, there's a Viper Dan. It's a kind of gentleman one. So do you design all of them? Do you design fixed photos? Do you have a special, how can I tell it?
Something that I prefer. Okay. I think I don't have a favorite knife, but I have a favorite approach to knife design. So I always told to anyone that I will just design useful knives. I want my knives to be used and to be practical. So it will be really hard for me to design, for example, fantasy knives. Okay, if you know what I mean. I can't design what you find with 420 steel with the strange handles, full of spikes, and so on. It's not my kind of knife. So
So
I
you
know
want
that.
to design useful stuff.
Yes, I know that at the moment there is a part of the customers that are looking for strange lines or with for fancy designs, but I always start from what the knife is going to do.
Yeah.
So I always focus on ergonomics, and I'm I admit that sometimes there are some design touches that I would love to implement, but they are not useful. So I have to uh, come back and say, okay, this one can ruin how the knife works. So I'm sad, but I can't do this kind of.
I
And,
understand. Yeah.
and that's all. I designed from the big, you can say machete like the Viper Carnera, to the small EDC like the Fantoni Hide or the Dan you were speaking about. I also designed some rescue knives for Antonini and some other categories in between. But probably, if you see, I don't have a personal design. If you look at others' designs work, you can say who designed the knife from 10 meters, because some lines are always the same, or some details are always the same on different projects. But I prefer to do what is right, in my opinion, for the tasks you are going to ask for from the knife.
So when you start to design a knife, the first questions are for you: how I gonna need to cut, or how do I need to use the knife? And then you are starting the drawing process, right?
Yes.
So
Usually, I start from dimensions. So I decide how long the knife will be, uh, how long the blade, because for the handle, uh, I'm not so free because the hand is always the same. So you have to decide maybe uh, on some small EDC, you can decide that your pinky will not touch the handle, but that's all. You can't be too free on the end.
mhm. So let's come to the Viper Dan.
Yes.
What is this designing story about that knife? I mean, what were your thoughts about it?
Okay. I know you already took a look at my website, so you know the main lines of the story. So the knife was born to be an ADC, especially in Europe, where we are having all these nice knife laws, where you always don't know exactly what you can take with you and what you can't, especially in Italy, because in Italy we don't exactly know what is allowed to carry and what is not.
Oh.
because we don't have.
Well, there's a lagging right now. This way.
No,
So
the
it's up.
concept here is that you need to have. They call it a reason to have a knife with you. But if you are in a forest and you have a knife, okay, you have a reason. But if you are going around your city and you have a knife, maybe you will need it, especially if it's a small EDC. But it's up to the policeman to decide if you have the reason or not. So if you find the 3 policemen, 2 can say that you are right, and 1 can say that you are wrong. And when you're wrong, it's not exactly easy.
Yeah, so it depends on the situation.
Yes, in the past, I mean, 40 years ago, at least 40 years ago, we had the law saying that 4 centimeters were the legal limit for the blade. But now,
40,
please,
40 centimeters?
4
4.
centimeters.
Oh,
But
much.
at the moment, we don't have any law, so
I see.
this is the only disposition that we have.
So even with the Viper down, you're not
No,
safe.
even with the Victorinox keychain, you are not 100% sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I often carry a knife, and I never had problems, but mainly because I don't go around showing my knife. I just use the knife when I need it. So I'm not carrying the knife for self-defense. I'm not going around with the knife open. So probably there.
Yeah, it's a pity because Italy is a country of a lot of knife manufacturing companies.
Mhm.
So it's not allowed to carry what you want.
We have a long tradition of knives in Italy.
Yeah.
Especially in the past, and every region in Italy has its own knives. So if you go for example, if you go to Sardinia, it's really hard to find someone without a knife in the pocket. Okay, because it's traditional. The idea behind the DAN was to create an EDC that was easy to carry, light, small, and
Yeah.
I want it to be clear that you're not going to harm someone with the knife. Okay, because obviously it is a knife, it cuts. So if you want to cut someone, you can. But probably is one of the worst knife you can use for this kind of tasks, because you don't have a lock. It is small. The blade is short. So I hope that at least it could be clear that you're not going out with this knife because you are planning to do something bad. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yes, there are 2 different blades, because this one that I also have here is the Dan 1, that is a clip point blade, and probably it's the most usual one, because it's something that you are used to see around. But the original design was the Dan 2.
Oh,
So
the original one.
yes, the original one was the Dan 2 with what we can call a sheepfoot blade that, in my opinion, is more suitable and more versatile for daily use, because you can cut like a cutter. The point is lower, so it's easy to control the knife, and it is still my favorite.
Yeah.
Now I have this one because I'm always studying, so uh, I have several knives in my daily rotation, mine or not, because I also carry knives from different manufacturers to understand what they did. And now I have this one, but usually I also carry the other blade, and I feel better with the other blade.
I had in mind there are different handles, right? You
Okay.
have the carbon fiber, you have the G10, you have the G10 in green, and the silver twist, silver twill,
Twill,
and
yes.
Burgundy Mikada. It's a great one.
And now they also introduced some wooden version.
Yes.
We didn't start with wood because in 2015 it was not so safe to do so, because when you use G10 or carbon fiber or micarta, it's easier to work on the handle material, and you are safe because it will not crack or okay. Working with wood, it's a different kind of work. So in the last 5 years, Viper obviously evolved their machining and the way they do the knife. So now they can do wooden handles and without problems. When we
Ah,
started, it was different. So
I see. That's the reason why. I didn't know that before. That's
yes,
good.
obviously they are always trying to improve.
Yeah.
So in 5 years, they improved a lot of things, and they bought new machining. They learned how to work better with the ones they had. So it's far better than before.
Well, you introduced the Viper Dawn in 2015 on a blade show.
At the IWA, the first time was in Nuremberg at the IWA.
Ah, it was in 2015 at the beginning of the year, right? When did you start to design it? How long is the process? Is this 1 year or
Uh,
two or even more?
I can't say exactly when, but usually, uh, mm, in my experience, from when I start to when we are ready with the prototype, there are at least 6 months,
Oh,
and sometimes 12, because uh, I need a few. Uh, I have to think about the knife, so I need some time to design the knife, and then we must check how the knife could be made, because not always what you design is what you can do. Okay, so
yeah.
there are a lot of things to check. There are some technical designs to prepare, and they also need to see how is the best production workflow for the final product. So uh, it needs time, but it's quite normal. So
Yeah, I totally understand. I thought it could be even more longer. So you need to be in the designing process. You need to have the thought for it. It's not the easiest, but you can do every day.
it depends, because some makers ask me to design something on their specifications, but some others ask me uh, to show what I designed, but by myself, without a brand in mind. So sometimes I arrive with a project that is ready, and sometimes I need time to prepare it. So it depends.
Yes. Thank you. On your webpage, I could see some early drawings of the Viper. The name on it was EDC, right? On the
Yes,
first
the
name.
first name was EDC. I was planning to put the knife out named EDC because I think it was the best name to explain what I was aiming to.
So for everyday carry, right?
Yes.
So why did you change the name?
Okay. You probably saw it on my website. Unfortunately, a friend of mine, a colleague, because I also work for some gun and knife magazines here in Italy. So a colleague tragically died a few weeks before the war. So I I was thinking that it could be a good way to honor the memory of a friend, and I asked to Giovanni Minuti, the owner of Viper, to change the name, and we changed it. I think 2 weeks.
2 weeks before the Eva, right? Into
Yes,
that. So
not
it was, you were freezing, and so I'm
okay.
just so it's because of the name of your friend, and
Yes, the
there's
name was Danilo.
see,
So then was a good name because it's short, it's easy to pronounce, and so I decided to go with that.
and you could make another application. It's a DAN, right? You can also say it's a daily.
Yes, it's daily assorted needs,
Yeah,
but it's it has been a bit forced because the real reason is the one I told you.
I see. So thank you. I look for my questions. Yeah, what I love on the Dan is it's a friction folder. It's a traditional. It is a traditional meaning of a knife, but you can open it with one hand and you can close it with one hand. So and it's still allowed in Germany. It's a street legal thing, and on the other hand, allowed that you design the clip in that way that it's nearly invisible in your pocket.
Okay.
This is cool. And do you plan other kinds of that gentleman folding knives? Is there is more in slip joint thinking, or are you more tending to the fixed right now, or are you open for everything?
I am open to everything, obviously,
Yeah, cool.
but I'm always thinking about new small EDC because at the moment they are the easiest knife to carry. So when we started, I told you that I'd like to design something that the people can use.
Yeah.
So if now they are allowed to carry only small knives, I will design small knives. So I don't know if slip joints or locking ones, because I see that for some markets, maybe the slip joint is the best one for legal reason. But people are always asking for frame locks or line locks. So I don't know. It depends from the maker and it depends from how they think their market is.
So
For me, it's quite the same because I use a knife from when I was, I think, 6. So it's not a problem for me to use a knife without a lock.
yeah.
Uh, I always carry uh, together with my EDC. I also carry a Victorinox. So you can do quite everything mm, if we speak about daily tasks. So uh, for me, it's the same. I know that a lot of people are not so comfortable not having a lock. So probably a locking one is always the best selling one.
Yeah, I saw you were on a shot show and you had a steel well knife.
Yes, at the shot show, I was a guest inside the Steelwheel booth, and I was there to illustrate all the new designs for this year. Not designed by me, but they had 5 new knives. And I also, obviously, I also spoke about my design with them. That is the piercer.
Yes, it's a great EDC size.
That is this
Yeah.
one. And just to have a size comparison.
No,
This
it's a little bit long, a little bit larger than the Dan, and it's a frame lock, right?
this one is a frame lock. There are also 2 liner lock versions.
Yes, and it's very small in the handle. It's only
Uh, I think it's right. Okay.
it's a right size.
Obviously, uh, it's not so easy to say it because when I design a knife, I can't design 3 sizes. Okay, so my hands are medium, I think. Uh, when I design something, I always try to fit from small ends to very big ends.
Mm.
So uh, I always suggest to check. This is the best way.
Yeah. So you told me just before your first memories with knives are about 6 years.
Please?
So you were 6 years old where you had your first
Yes,
memories
probably.
with knives. Yeah. So you grew up with knives, right?
Yes.
In the countryside or
Uh, no, I don't live in the country. I live quite in the city center. But I always been around mountains, hills, and plain outside. So uh, I also really love to make some wood crafting. So there are a lot of things for a knife to be in your pocket.
yeah, and you also said on your webpage that there was a knife store, a local knife store.
Yes.
And does that local knife store maybe influence your love to knives? And
Yes, because I've been there from when I was a kid. So I grew up together with the knife or the shop owners,
whoa, that's cool.
and luckily the shop is still open in my city. So they gave me the opportunity to see a lot of knives, a lot of different knives from all the world. So obviously, it gave me a lot of inspiration and give me the way to understand and to learn a lot of things without having to buy everything.
Yeah, it's good. Must be awesome to see your own designs in that shop you
Yes,
grew up with.
absolutely. And there is also another shop in Italy that I'm really uh, uh, affectionate to. Okay, because it's the first one is Coltelleria Scintilla that is in my city in Treviso, near Venice. The other one is Collini that is near Milan. Uh, I knew them because when I was young and I was looking for information, I went to their forum, web forum, and then I became a moderator for them for several years, and I also started helping during knife shows. In the past, we had a big exhibition in Brescia that was the main gun and knife show in Italy. That now it's not open anymore, but we have another one in Vicenza. And it was a big occasion for me to speak with customers to understand what the people is looking for. And I think I started uh, probably in 1998 or 1999. And then when I started making my designs, it was also a good way to present them to the public and to learn what they think and understand how they think they are made.
Well, it's very interesting to see your steps from the small store in your city to the bigger one, and then to the forum, and then to the show, and then into knife designing.
And yes, and before this, I started from my local shop. Then there is this friendship with the other shop, and then I also worked inside Viper for 1 year. I
Ah,
was a foreign commercial for Viper in 2011, and I also went around with them for several shows like Blade Show and Iwa Show and never the Shot Show with them. This year was the first time for me at the Shot Show.
I see. It's great. Very good. Yeah. So I have three unusual questions here, three or four.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, are you an early bird person or do you like to sleep late?
Oh, it depends because usually I work better in the afternoon and during the night.
Oh,
So if for me, probably I will stay up until 2 in the morning or 4 in the morning and then sleep until 12. But
ah,
I decided to change my daily okay because it's not healthy, it's not the right way. So I try to get up around 8 and to go to bed around midnight.
okay. But why not if you are more productive in the midnight or the night? It's
Oh, because also in the morning there are a lot of things to do, and probably a bit of sunlight is not so so bad. So
Mm. So the next one, what is the most used app on your phone?
probably if we speak about normal apps, it's WhatsApp. A lot of friends around the world, and WhatsApp is probably the easiest and the fastest way to uh, s- keep in touch with them without spending a lot or without a problem. So WhatsApp, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the other one linked to our work is let me check the name exactly. Knife steel composition,
Yeah, I
because
have. I,
it's a good database to see all the different knife steels and to see if they have a different name from another maker. So it's interesting.
that's good. Yeah, I have that on my phone as well. So the third question is, which book would you recommend to a friend?
Okay, this one is probably the hardest question because I am I am a good reader, and I really love to read books from different uh, styles. Okay, so for example, I'm reading the saga of Geralt of Rivia, The Witcher.
Ah, The Witcher. Yeah.
Yes, all the 8 books. But I also I love, for example, the Russian literature.
Really?
And for example, one of my favorite books is The English translation, I think, is The Master and Margarita, or Margaret. I don't know why they translate. It's from Bulgakov.
Yeah, maybe you could send me in WhatsApp and I can put it in the show notes. Yeah.
Yes, and there is also another one from Anji Yoshikawa, and it's called Musashi. So it's the story of the historical person. So, but there are a lot of nice books. For example, I wrote something from Ken Follett that was really interesting, and there are also some Italian books that are really nice. So I try to read something from every author.
Yeah.
So usually I don't read the same to change.
See, your Russian, the which is Poland
Yes,
author, I guess, and there's American, so and Italian, so you're worldwide
yes.
trying everything.
Usually I do something similar to what you just did.
Yeah,
So when I have a friend or when I meet someone that for me is really smart, interesting, or something, one of the first things that I ask is, "What is your favorite book?"
really.
Yes, because I think that uh, you can't know someone from his favorite book, but probably if you like the person, it will be a good reading. So it
Yeah.
was worth to ask.
Um, I,
So, what's your favorite book?
notice my favorite book I would recommend to you would be a German author because you are very interested in all the words books. So it's in science fiction. I'm a science fiction fan, and the name is The Swarm. Schätzing is the author. I will look for an English version of it and will send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, but it's a big one, but it's absolutely worth to read it.
Oh, but if you like Russian books, you're not frightened by big books. So,
I can remember the Russian stories for children. There was even then was big books as well.
for
So
example, I also read Goethe in the
oh
past.
yeah, Goethe.
I the translation could be the pains of the young Werther. Okay,
Yeah, Die Leiden des jungen Werther. Right. Yes.
and also a lot of different ones. So
Wow, it's not the easiest thing to read.
no, but when I at the time it was the right book.
Correct.
So I also had the full Twilight Saga. So sometimes I read something really hard and difficult, and sometimes I read something that you can read when you are at the beach. So
Oh, that's impressive. That's very cool. That's
because sometimes I read the book because I think it's interesting, and sometimes I read a book because I think that is how to call it something that is impacting on the society. So, for example, Harry Potter. Okay,
yeah,
uh, you must read Harry Potter because you are going to understand a few things from it. Personally, I like the book, but even if you don't like the book, you have to read at least the first one.
yeah. You should have read them because they changed a lot in our with our
They
children.
are in our culture, so you know to know at least what you are speaking about.
Yeah, right. Exactly right. Right.
So
Yeah.
probably one day I will also read something from Sophie Kinsella.
Yeah. Um, do you dream about knives sometimes?
Oh, not really, not
Okay.
really. Uh, Usually my inspiration for knives come from what I see. I have a lot of picture of knives in my telephone, but not to copy them, but to see them often, uh, so something new come up in my mind.
I see. Yeah.
It's something like what they uh, if you learn martial arts, okay, if you do karate or something like that,
Yeah.
uh, there is the concept of empty mind, okay. So you do the same movement several times. So at one moment you are uh, it's normal for you to do so, so you can do it without thinking about. So I'm always looking at knives, because when I have a blank paper in front of me and I have to draw a line, okay, maybe the first one is the line that I was thinking about, because I never saw something made like this. But at one moment I have to close the design, and I don't have something in mind, so I can just leave my hand, and my hand will go in the way that is more natural for me.
Yeah.
It's something that is really helpful, I think.
It's nice to hear. Yeah, that you have your drawing lines, then you draw. It's more emotional than I thought of to design.
It's some kind of you know uh, it's a flow.
Yeah.
um, because in my knives, if you look at my knives, they are all different one from another.
Mm.
But if you see, I always try to use uh, the less lines I can. So if I have to go from here to here, probably I will have a straight line. If it's not a straight line, there is a reason behind.
Ah, I see.
Okay. And when I have to make a curve, it's usually smooth. You don't find edges. There are some little things that are always recurring in every design.
Yes. Yes. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. So, do you want to tell something more? Is there something in your mind you want to say?
Or what I want to say. Uh, At the moment, I have a lot of things going, so I don't exactly know what is the main one at the moment, because I'm waiting for this pandemic to end to
Yeah.
see what will be after that, because uh, our makers are still working, so I don't think the knife production in Italy will be so affected from what
So,
happened.
the Maniago based manufacturing like Viper, Fox,
Yes, yes.
they are
They
all working right now.
they had to close, but I think that now Italy is reopening a bit. So I think that now they can reopen, or they are going to open again in a week, I think. So, and anyway, um they are their market is global.
Yeah.
So probably if they lose something in Italy, or if they lose something in Europe, maybe Australia could buy more, or US could buy more. So I don't think they will have big problems. Probably the companies that are currently making knives in China or in Taiwan will be more affected, and I think they will move something.
So you think the Italian manufacturers are safe this year?
I don't know. At the moment, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
But you know, before the pandemic, there were some problems between US and China, speaking about taxes and so on. So I don't know if making knives in China will be so interesting from an economic point of view in the future.
yeah.
I mean for American makers.
So hopefully we can meet sometime in on a show, on a blade show, on the Ever.
I hope so. But
So
for probably the first one will be the IWA, I think in March.
so no shows for 2020.
Mm, I fear so because they are speaking about the pandemic to return in October or November. So
I see. Yeah.
uh, during this summer, for example, I was expecting there is a yearly knife show in Maniago, some kind of knife fest, but probably this one will be moved to the next year too.
Mm. That's
So
pretty. Yeah.
I was only I was also planning to visit the Villac knife show this year. It was the first time, but they had to cancel.
Wow.
So at the moment, I don't know because I don't know when it will be safe to travel, and so everything is on hold.
Yeah, it is. Well, maybe next year.
We hope so.
Finger crossed. So I will send you a new book for your collection.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure for me. I, I love what I do and I love knives, so I'm always happy to speak about my products, but also about the knife in general.
Okay, I think we are. Yeah, I will stop the recording now.
Okay,
See you.
bye.
Ah, it's great. Yeah, I could feel that it's the love for knives, the love for design, and also the love for the knife stores and the manufacturers in Italy. So
Not only in Italy, because I also love to work with the other makers, because,
yeah.
for example, what I did with the steel wheel was great, I think.
Ah,
And also, I helped Summit Knife to start their own brand the last year, and what we are making, I think, is interesting. I don't know if you know already know the brand because at the moment it was American only. But
ah,
this is the knife, the first knife.
it's beautiful. It's Mikado, isn't it?
Yes, micarta and titanium.
Oh yeah,
And you see the knife is made by Fox,
yeah.
and in I think the last week this one came to Italy for the first time. This is the big one that just came to the market.
Oh, great. Didn't know that. Good. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Did I forget to ask a question? Tell me how you like it. Put it in the comments. See you soon. Bye bye.